Craig Wright, who is known for launching copyright infringement lawsuits against anyone who disagrees with him that he is Satoshi Nakamoto. Also, the chief scientist of nChain. His team will likely be not celebrating this weekend, but preparing for a multi-billion-dollar trial over a share of $65 billion worth of Bitcoin that resumes on Monday. Christie, what are the stakes here?
Well, to be clear, this case isn't like exactly a "are you Satoshi, are you not Satoshi" kind of case. This isn't the same as having the developers who have posted the white paper on the website, on their websites, being sued for copyright. It's a completely separate thing. So on Monday, a court case is going to begin in Florida that pits the estate of Dave Kleiman, I think it's Kleiman or Kleiman, against Craig Wright, who claims he's now Satoshi Nakamoto. So technically, it's not about whether or not he's the inventor of Bitcoin. Dave was an IT and security specialist who passed away in April of 2013, and his estate is now alleging that Dave and Craig were involved in the early development of Bitcoin, and that together they amassed an enormous stash of cryptocurrencies. And according to Craig, Dave was instrumental in assisting him in writing the white paper. We don't have Dave around to answer any of these questions, of course. The estate is basically going on information they got after the fact. So after Kleiman's death, Wright has kept all the Bitcoins and the intellectual property rights, and Dave Kleiman's estate wants its fair share. So the lawsuit is purporting that Wright fraudulently acquired large numbers of Bitcoins and that are actually belonging to Dave Kleiman, and that Wright has forged documents. It's really complicated, a lot of ins and outs and what have yous, evidenced by the fact that this was first filed back in 2018, and there's been lots of continuances and objections and blah, 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 a lot of stuff to get us to the point where it's actually going to trial. And of course, there have been any number of other internet and Bitcoin sleuths out there who've been hard at work debunking so much of what Craig Wright has claimed in terms of his involvement with the development of Bitcoin. Some of these claims are part and parcel of that case that the Kleimans have built up against him. So now, on one hand, you've got Craig Wright fanatics who are eagerly anticipating the start of this trial, since they're certain he's going to bring forward evidence that will not only exonerate him, but also provide proof that he is indeed Satoshi. His detractors, on the other hand, will be watching to see how he wriggles his way out of the multiple allegations of misrepresentation. And then, if he is compelled to hand over Bitcoins, how he even plans to do so. There's some suggestion out there that he either A, cannot access the funds because he doesn't have the keys necessary, because only Satoshi does, and B, some of the addresses he's listed as holding funds actually belong to other people. They're not even his addresses. So it's all going to be quite fascinating to watch. It's a muddle, and we're going to have to see what comes up in the trial over the next few weeks.
Fascinating case. Also, I'll just note that in Coinbase's S1 earlier this year, they noted that if the identity of Satoshi, or at least that amount of, maybe perhaps that amount of Bitcoin, were to be identified and moved, that could be a risk to big crypto markets.